Okay, so here we go. So what do you think? Wait for more people to come or just like get to start? We have 3 people of our visitors here.
It's up to you, Kada. I don't mind. Whichever. After a few years, I tended to start exactly on time. I stopped waiting for people because it's...
Yes, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually. Okay. So, yes, let's start, please. Yes. Okay. So here's Dr. Laurence Brown. Let me do the introductions. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Calling from England.
Okay. Very good to have you indeed. And in a minute, I'll be there with the bio. Just a minute. Okay. So Dr. Laurence H. Brown. He has been guiding young people to increase self-confidence and academic success for 30 years in roles such as Director of Learning, Associate Professor, Transnational Dean, and Acting President. As a child who was left behind at school, Laurence has made it his goal in life to offset the increasingly irrelevance of our school systems by adding value to the lives of young people wherever possible. Now a mentor coach and the founder of the National Life Skills Academy, Laurence has well over 100 introductions to essential life skills recorded as podcasts to develop into learning modules to better equip young people for their futures in a changed world. I have actually, I should say that, but I have actually been there. I have watched, heard some of the podcasts. Some of them are really, really insightful because it's very interesting. It's very authentic, very deep, actually. So by all means, I would share the links to the website where he keeps the podcasts as well for people who would like to look at it and check them for themselves. So now let me do the introduction for Jacqueline and Leila as well. Jacqueline, yes? Hello?
Hi.
Okay. So I'll admit more people. Say, would any of you like to go as co-host as well? Jacqueline or Leila, would you like to go as co-host if you have something to share on your screens? I mean.
Yes, we will share after Dr. Laurence. Yes. So it's up to you, Dr. Gada. How would you like to do it?
Okay, so I'll make you co-host for now. So
okay.
you can have you can have access to the screen, of course. Let me do the introduction, of course. So we start with Jacqueline and Jacqueline Makarva, the founder. She's the founder and director of the Cascade community in Dubai. After many years of passionately teaching both in Scotland and the Middle East, she felt the need to leave traditional mainstream schooling due to many imposed restrictions in the existing system, where basic essential skills were not being taught. Thankfully, her passion was ignited again after founding the Cascade British Nursery in Kuwait in 2006, then the Cascade Learning Center in Dubai in 2013. Jacqueline's mission is simple: empower children and give them opportunities that not only develop their life skills knowledge, but that actually set them up for life. Looking to the future, Jacqueline hopes to make waves across the globe and bring Cascade's learning opportunities to children everywhere, regardless of race, finances, or gender. It's a beautiful dream, Jacqueline. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Leila. Leila Verhova. Yes?
Verhovac, yeah, Croatian husband.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Leila is the partner and general manager of Cascade Community in Dubai. Leila's vision is to build resourceful communities with 21st century life skills that help families thrive and feel empowered. Her ultimate goal is to stop children from being neglected, trafficked, or abused. And she sees evolved education as a key component to creating safe environments that foster a love of learning and help children lead fulfilling lives in our changing world. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for
Thank
sharing
you
the dream.
too.
It's really
Thank you.
okay. So now I have the slides to share. Would you like me to start, or you want to say something
Please.
before the slides?
No, it's fine. Just throw them in there and let's go.
Okay. So here it goes. Is this one or that one? No, it's that one.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to talk about the National Life Skills Academy. And first of all, I'd like to introduce my friends here, Jackie and Layla, who I discovered recently have set up their own school in Dubai. And they're looking at different curriculum. They're looking at very engaging curriculum that cover the whole plethora of life skills and critical thinking skills for the 21st century. So moving forward with this, then, are you able to move to the next slide then, please? Okay, so here we have from the Cascade School, we have their pods, their learning pods, their curricular pods. And you can see, if you look around, resourcefulness, and giving back, and then the basic academics, maths and English, the exploration of understanding our world, the creativity, the arts, design, the mental health and well-being, the physical health, life skills, and resourcefulness. You can see how it's this magical community to draw in young people and give them what they need from the start. Give them from a very young age a love for learning, guided around the 21st century learning skills that really schools cannot offer. Now, if you go to the next slide, please. So here's one example of the superpowers that they're covering within their school. So this is a 10-week program: art, storytelling, yoga, meditation, affirmations, and mindfulness. And all of these are interactive around group work. So the kids are out there and running around and moving and learning these amazing superpowers that are going to last them throughout their lives. So I'm going to start talking about a story now, why I became interested in improving education to be more engaging for young people. Because when I was at school in the 70s, I got very, very frustrated with the school system because it wasn't what I needed. I wasn't given the choices I needed. I wasn't told anything about multiple intelligences. I wasn't told anything about preferred learning styles. I was just shown the one way we had to study, learning in a very linear, didactic way. And I got so frustrated with it that I just withdrew. I came into myself. And now coming back to England after a career overseas, working in educational systems and quality assuring educational systems across the globe, especially in the GCC and Asia, I find that things haven't changed. We came back to England when my daughter was 12 and the other one who was at boarding school here when she had to move to her A levels. And we put them into English schools here. And they're still doing the same stuff. I was doing the same physics books I was using in 1975. And yet they're moving forward into the 21st century with this very narrow view of learning and this very restricted choice, when actually what they need is a hugely expansive choice of life skills and skills that will embrace 21st century technologies. Now, our school system is still designed around teaching to the test. It's still designed around a bell curve when the things are graded and a cutoff point. And it's designed to fail 30% of our students. We have 10 million people, 10 million young people at school every day in this country, 200 days a year. And 30% of them in that 1 year are designed to fail. That's 200,000 or 300,000 young people every year designated to fail. So is that them failing? Or I ask you to think carefully now, is that the system failing them? So it throws them out of school like it did me, feeling useless, feeling despondent, when actually we should be embracing life as a new adult and My own kids crying over their homework at 11 o'clock at night, just before lockdown. I was getting so frustrated that they were sitting at their desks, hunched over like this for 5 or 6 hours every night, and then crying because they couldn't get their homework finished. Because the teachers are teaching to the test. So there's 3 semesters in England. So in that first semester, they get through the curriculum, all the syllabuses. They're not expanding the curriculum. It's all they've got to get through the curriculum. There's no more time. Then in the second term, they start beginning previous question papers, giving them previous question papers to take home for homework. Well, they haven't consolidated their learning because they haven't expanded their learning. So they don't know what to do when they get home. But the teachers are ticking those curriculum boxes. And I've worked in the American system in Saudi Aramco. It's worse there. So during lockdown, I decided I wasn't going to waste time. I was going to get a feeling around the world for what people thought, for what parents thought, for what teachers thought, educational specialists thought. So over a period of about 7 or 8 months, I gathered hundreds of people around the world, and we started a very large Facebook group that's going back now 2 years or more. And it showed me the support that we had globally for a paradigm shift in the way not only teachers are trained, not only the way universities are training young people to go out with their degrees, and shifting from a purely academic, linear, didactic, banking method of teaching to this expansive, expanded curriculum and interconnected learning hooks, and bringing in professionals to do authentic problem-based learning, to actually expand the network of young people while they're still in college and school. And this started in 1995 in Australia, using professionals locally to actually bring kids out of school into teams working in businesses, internships, where they were producing portfolios of real authentic learning skills, not just O and A level certificates. So over a period of a year or more, we collected about 170 life skills. And now that's growing every week. 170 different life skills. I could build an entire school and a university on 170 life skills. So we've worked also to expand the need for coaching skills within the classroom. Now, I know Layla and Jackie, you're also working with Race in Dubai, and you're also working with Martin Richards and people like that to bring in coaching skills into the classroom, aren't you?
That's right.
So you're not really looking for teachers per se, you're actually looking for people who can facilitate and be guides on the side to learning, right?
Yeah, exactly. Jackie, would you like to speak, or could I?
No, you carry on, Layla, about the coaching.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we noticed quite a lot in terms of at first we noticed after COVID and after the pandemic, well, through the pandemic, but around that time, we started noticing a lot of the teenagers were getting quite anxious. They were starting to feel disconnected, and they were struggling to be in a classroom with other kids to just socialize. So this is the first sign that we noticed something different had to happen. And we created initially an entrepreneurship course or program to see how could we, and together with life skills, to see how could we help them step out of their comfort zone, but more so keep them in a social engagement class and step out of their comfort zone to be able to learn new skills, work together. And I apologize, I'm at home and my son has just walked in. So, but basically what we noticed, what was really valuable, was when the children were together in the classroom, more than learning the skills of business and life skills, actually the most important skill that they were learning was the social skills, first and foremost. Yeah. Once the social skills were learned, then the other life skills became secondary, but also as equally as important. But the number one was the social skills.
Yeah, it's imperative. And there are thousands of educators all over the world leading the charge, leading the way now to bring in coaching and team coaching skills to be utilized with cohorts of young people to get them engaged.
Yes.
So what we want to do and what we're endeavoring to do is ensure that children will be armed and ready to deal with this ride, this wave of change and change and change and change that they're going to live through again and again as the technology extrapolates into volatile scenarios, quite dangerous scenarios perhaps, these multiverses that they're going to approach, shifts in career and emphasis in the soft skills, for example, and EQ, emotional intelligence, that are going to be so needed to work and collaborate. And we believe that we can help equip them to understand and recognize, to deal with the changes that are going to be rampant in their world that we didn't experience. So how to reach and what to offer? Well, their teachers and their parents and their children all need these life skills. And actually what we've garnered, what we've realized in the last few weeks even, is there's an enormous interest from parents in a different way of doing it. So that's why Layla and Jackie and the Cascade system are taking off so quickly in Dubai and will become a franchise in order to spread it around the globe.
So it's interesting here, it's like, if I may, we're talking again about the SDGs as the reference point for our setting the curriculum. And what is interesting is that you start right away on business. So they are very young people. Usually you don't have them get into the market, but you're encouraging them, giving them the tools, and you're constructing with reference to the SDG as the only backbone to the system. So everything else is volatile, almost transparent, including the technology itself. So we just have the kids reconstructing their lives and skills around the SDGs, and this becomes the common denominator for all our educational systems all across the world.
Yeah, and give self-confidence.
Is this the vision? Am I getting it right?
Absolutely. And what this is bringing to young people from the ages of, elementary school, top areas of elementary school, it's giving them self-confidence. After all, what we're trying to do in everything we do is build self-esteem. That's all we're trying to do, is show them that they can, because school doesn't show them that. It deliberately goes out of the way to show 30% of the kids in the classroom that they can't. So that's not setting them up for their future, is it?
No, it doesn't.
So what we're working to do is offering them value and added curriculum through the things they hear, like domain items and keywords and glossary items specific to finance or wellness. They don't understand the context for these terms. So within these podcasts and within our life skills curriculum, like Cascades, we slip in, we seed these items to be nurtured so that there's a new, fresh and unbiased approach. So the terms and phrases that they hear but don't understand, by the time they're ready to leave school, they do understand. They do understand what these things mean because they have a context that we were deliberately not given at school.
Yeah.
Our generations were quite deliberately kept away from this, which is why in the 60s, we had student riots in France and England and all over. And I believe this could happen again. So we were kept away from authentic problem-based learning and critical thinking skills. We weren't taught how to learn to be agile and flexible and collaborate and all of those good things. So our governments could maintain, in England especially, a class-ridden society, those who have and those who have not. And it's the governments who would lose too much money. If we got rid of our O-levels and A-levels and the very rigid testing system we had, they would lose millions and millions every year because they sell these things all over the world. So what we're doing is beginning to take control. And there are thousands of us out there starting private schools, charter schools in America, getting licenses like Jackie and Layla to open a new school with a new ethos of authentic learning. And the kids know this. They're not daft. Kids know what they need for their future. They know better than the teachers these days. And this is where...
this is good. Yeah, and Laurence, this is actually sorry to interject, this is actually what we noticed is the social, emotional, mental well-being skills, the creative, the physical, as well as just being able to play and have fun and just enjoy the interaction has been huge in a lot of the children developing further and building their self-confidence to really step up and be all they can be. But it does start with over and above academics, it does start with the whole child. It's not just looking at one element of the child, it's looking at the whole elements of the child, everything that is the person rather than just the academic. Once the confidence is up and the self-belief is up, the academic naturally shines because they feel confident within themselves to achieve the academics.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was very excited to find the sustainable goals, the 17 sustainable goals a couple of years ago, and I try and put it into everything I do online. So, for example, if you look at 4, educational quality in education, and you go round all of the 17, you'll find that education drops into each one of them, but not least number 8. Number 8 is work and economic growth, and strengthen VET systems, which is vocational training, as opposed to academic training. We all come from an academic system. We run, manage, own purely academic systems. That's got to shift, and the vocational and the soft skills must come in. Otherwise, these institutions will die. They will not have students. So to equip youth and adults with the skills required for employment, decent work, and as Dr. Ghader alluded to, entrepreneurship. So these life skills come into every aspect of the sustainable goals to set people up and young people up for a 21st century future. So the National Life Skills Academy, we do podcasts. We're turning them into e-learning so they can be certificated, that they've got a certificate from the National Life Skills Academy. And then we're going to also set up locally within the local boarding schools here, and there's a lot here, residential courses, 3 and 4 day residential courses where they can come together and expand in groups the activity and engagement of working with young teenagers to expand their learning within these 170 different contextual areas. So we'll look which are the most downloaded podcasts. Now, last month, it was the cybersecurity. We have a trio of 4 cybersecurity courses. They were all downloaded. About 50–60% of them were downloaded. And this month, it's been, believe it or not, focus and control. How to focus concentration. Can we move on to the next slide?
It's really interesting.
I
This is
know,
really
right?
interesting.
If
Yes.
you look at the metrics from the websites, it's really interesting. I think we had 30 different countries downloading our podcasts last month, but they're not out there yet. They're not available yet. So how people are finding them, I don't know. They must be going through the Spreaker platform because they're not actually available at the moment. I haven't even started marketing.
Mhm.
Yet we're still getting 30 odd countries downloading them. Can I get the next slide, please, Dr.
Yes.
Ghader?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. So you can see the interest. I mean, there's interest all over the world in this now.
Mhm. Yes.
So I'm going to start showing you now some of the titles. Now, obviously, there's nearly 200. There's far too many titles to show you. So here I'm going to start with the A's, A, B's, and C's.
Mhm.
Now, I don't need to say anything. You can just read those in 30 seconds to get a feel for the range that the research drew in. And if anybody wants to say anything about any of these now or ask any question, anybody just jump in now.
I would actually ask about the session on autism. I think I heard that podcast. What I really liked it was the humanistic aspect you were giving it. Is like it's not the common compassionate, raising empathy, calling, non-bullying attitude that people would usually present autism with. It was very natural, like as if it's like it just exists. Here are the symptoms, which just like gave me an aura of equality. And this is why it's very relevant, I think, to whatever Jacqueline is saying about racism here. So it was like, you don't feel different. You don't feel that this is something on the margins. It was very easily slipped in. And this is why I can sort of trust when you're trying to promise universalizations, like we're going to contextualize the experience for everybody else, even though there are cultural differences, there are race differences, classes, and you're talking England, which is like a stark example compared to the Middle East. The Middle East is way underplayed in comparison. So if you can do that in England, we are so hopeful.
Yeah.
You just see.
Well, the idea of these podcasts is they will not be longer than 10, 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of them goes up to about 18 minutes, but I won't tell you which one. And I mean, it's things like, these are the words you will hear regarding autism. You will hear the word Asperger's. You will hear the word continuums. You will hear, things like that. It's actual very factual, giving them in 7 or 8 minutes, because I'm assuming they're going to have their pods in and they're just going to be multitasking, like kids do now, with about 3 minutes of concentration on anything. But these will go on in the background. They're deliberately a bit bland. There's no animations. They can just listen while they're quietly informed as to what these topic areas mean, while they do other things. So, I mean, all of these things have words in them that if it was a wiki page, you could click the link. Yeah. So that's what we, Jackie, Layla and I, we're going to build the curriculum around these learning hooks from each one of these scripts that we have for these 170 podcasts. So for example, if you look down in the right, creative innovation, what does that really mean? Okay, that means a very practical technique you can learn in about 3 minutes for problem solving. And it's frankly divergent, convergent problem solving. And there's a very simple technique that uses a subconscious method to help you brainstorm 100 different stupid ideas maybe to a problem. And then in the morning, you wake up, oh yeah, there's the answer. So these are very practical skill sets and techniques that we're teaching them. You were trying to say something, Dr. Rada.
It's actually, I was like, I wonder, something like coaching skills, would that be visited by the kids? I mean, sometimes.
Absolutely. And practiced.
So would they actually go for that? So maybe be yourself or conflict resolution. It sounds like kids would be interested, but affirmations, would they have this awareness to choose?
No, but concerned parents will. Mm-hmm. This isn't being marketed to the kids. Actually, legally, I can't market to kids. I can't even talk to the kids. I can't approach them through the internet. So none of my research was done initially with young people. It was all done with the parents, because these are the people who are going to sign up to this for their families, for their 3 daughters or their sons. And they're going to say, do you know what you need to listen to tonight? Affirmations, Erica. Go upstairs and listen to affirmations. She won't want to, but she'll put those in and she'll get doing other stuff. And maybe, just maybe, those seeds are being nurtured. Those keywords are being nurtured. Sometime later, that'll crop up again. She'll go, oh, I remember that. Mm-hmm. And that's what builds self-esteem in a classroom, is understanding the keywords before you go in. Let's move on to the next slide, can we please? Okay, so let's run through this, starting at C, coming down to G now. So you can see the range. We're talking about grief. Grief came up a lot during lockdown because young people were losing their grandmothers, mm-hmm. And so they were suffering grief, but they don't really understand how to deal with it. So we explain in very simple terms, this is grief. These are the processes grief moves through, and these things will help you, Design thinking, difficult conversations. Who talks to kids about difficult conversations? Who talks to kids about active listening? Well, if they don't know active listening, they're not going to get the best out of their teachers in a classroom, are they? Or their friends. Driving in the middle there. Look at that. Why would driving be in there? What can I teach them about driving in a podcast? What do you think I could teach them? A life skill about driving in a podcast. Anybody? I'm asking everybody. What could I teach, or what could I inculcate into a young person when I'm talking about driving?
Who are you being as a driver? Something like civic attitudes. It's like how you divide your roles, how you divide your shares. How do you know to take initiative, leadership maybe?
Anybody else? Like anybody else got anything to say with that?
Risk management.
Patience.
Patience.
Yeah, definitely.
Seriously.
And managing risk. Yeah, managing risk.
Yeah.
This is the crux. Like all good curriculum, there are things in it that act covertly. They're not overt, but there are seeds put into things. So for example, my daughter was worried she couldn't do a degree, but I told her that because you've passed your A levels, within those A levels, you're taught the study techniques you will need on your degree. Within your degree, you don't understand it, but built into the quality assurance of your degree program, your accredited degree program, you're learning the skill sets you need to go for a master's degree interview and pass it and get through a master's degree. And while you're on a master's degree, what you don't realize is covertly the seeds are being planted for you to actually move up to a PhD. So it's all inculcated. Driving is all of those things. Driving is the most important life skill young people will ever learn because they're learning to keep themselves alive when they're facing dangers coming from every direction. So actually what the emphasis of this driving one is recognizing and mitigating risk, which is becoming more important in every young person's life. So can we move on to the next one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. You can have this later. You can just keep it. You don't need to take a picture.
Okay. Oh, isn't it moving?
That's fine. Cybersecurity, actually, while you're moving it, I concentrated on cybersecurity because 3 years ago, my 12-year-old daughter had her identity stolen and nasty things put on the internet about her friends. Wasn't her, but she suffered for it greatly. So now I've skipped through the podcasts and I've come to M. No reason particularly, just because I can't put 170 on there. NHS, by the way, is our national health system, how it works, how it's funded, and important aspects about how the funding is delivered and the expectations and the limitations perhaps of our national health system because it affects young people in England. Is there anything in there anybody wants to ask me about?
Portfolio skills, of course. It's
Wow.
very professional. It's very,
Yeah,
very interesting. So,
a portfolio of skill sets.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
basically, that's what LinkedIn is based around. That's what the biggest. How many people on LinkedIn now? How many billion is it? I think it was 500 million. I think it's gone up to nearly 1 billion. Professional management, professional LinkedIn is where you put a portfolio of your skill sets. My daughter went on LinkedIn and I helped her to build it while she was doing her A levels. She's now got a very comprehensive LinkedIn page with quite a lot of networks to help her find internships and a job after her environmental management degree. So I introduced her to people, they've introduced her to people. She's done certificates, residential certificates at British universities. While she was doing her A levels, they're all in there now. She's built a portfolio of skill sets and she actually does work through my life skills. Resilience, look, parents were concerned about resilience and respect, equality and manners in the bottom right. They were very concerned about resilience and respect and equality and good manners. I mean, this is England after all. Okay, can we
what's
move
the
on
age
to the
range,
next?
Dr. Laurence, if I may, what's the age range that you have in mind here? So for people talking resilience, shifting perspectives, portfolio of skills, they can be high schoolers or
Oh,
maybe
okay,
middle
this is
school.
this is mainly for high schoolers, yes.
But not for the younger ones that
No, no.
Lila was talking about.
Yeah.
Not for the very young.
No,
So
no.
you
They're
mean
talking
it has-
about more emotional, they're talking about emotional and social skills, whereas this is leading them up to applying for university. So
Of course.
if they understand a lot of these, they'll have a better application for universities. But Layla's school is moving with the elementary young children. They're moving up to now more teenage classes, and these will come into play with those.
I mean, I like this very much, like with a point of reference to what you said about the 60s, when people used to have riots because they would like clash with the systems and they don't have the tools, they don't know how to handle things. So you're just like, you're above all the philosophies of this is capitalist, this is harmful, this is not capitalist enough, or you're above all that. So now this is the system, we're going to harmonize the tools and we'll try to find transparency and access. So this is how where the SDGs come, where you have access, you can achieve equality. You can just like trespass the borders that are constructed around us because of race and cultures and because of all the heritage that we're trying, this very thick filter that we're trying to move around with. So it's beautiful. Really. Would you like me to take the slides?
I think somebody else was waiting to come in. I think somebody else
Okay.
wanted to say something about this.
Please.
No, change the slide then, please.
Okay.
I was just wanting to mention something, if I may, Laurence.
Yes, please.
I was just wanting to mention that actually the reason that with the teenagers, it's working really well in Dubai, specifically with the teenagers, is what around about a year ago, Dubai announced that 15-year-olds and above could get into the workforce. And my background is business as well as now with education. And I thought this was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity for these kids to be able to get into the workforce, to be able to work for companies, have their passions in an environment where they could learn on the job. But when I spoke to the company that enrolls teenagers or sort of does the work permit for teenagers, there were very few teenagers applying. When I then spoke to the employers, why are you not taking on board teenagers? They said, oh, well, they haven't really worked in the environment. So we want them to sort of be used to working and have some life skills in order to know, time management, how do they deal with customers, do they have a good work ethic? So when we saw this as a challenge, we basically created something which was life skills based, and it was an entrepreneurship program. That's where the entrepreneurship program came in. In fact, it was initially a preparation for part-time work, but all the teenagers wanted to go for the entrepreneurship. So instead of them wanting to necessarily learn on the job, they wanted to be the owner of the company. So the mindset had shifted, but in the process of doing it, what we found is that they still need to know those basic life skills. They cannot be an owner of a business without knowing those basic life skills. So that's been a very interesting development of how we got to the entrepreneurship. But it is all these life skills are vital for them to build confidence to get into the workforce. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Laila. Yeah. Can we have the next slide, please?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so the National Life Skills Academy looks rather like this. And then at the moment, it's not finished. I said it's not out there yet. These podcasts are not available yet. But this is how they would appear. There is a play. You do actually have a loudspeaker button to play if you want to do that, Laila, Dr. Ghada, or we can just move on. You can see this one is 10 minutes and 24 seconds long. And it's called Asking for Help. And a lot of kids do not know how, even my daughter who's 20 at university is scared to ask for help in the university. You were talking about this, Laila, earlier, I think, asking for help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can I have the final slide now, please? And then I'll hand over to Laila and to Jackie. So get in touch if you want, ask anything you wish to ask, and just contact us on this email. And we can discuss this. We also have a Facebook page, 21st Century Learning, which is very busy and has a lot of very interesting photographs. Articles and links. So if you want to get back to me, get in touch with me through there. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your time. And I'll hand over to you, Dr. Ghada, for Jackie and for Laila. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Laurence Brown. It's a wonderful presentation. Insightful as usual, your usual. So thank you so much. Now let me hear from Laila and Jacqueline. What is it that you'd like to discuss, ladies?
Hi, well, I would just like to say thank you very much, Dr. Ghada, and to Dr. Laurence for giving us the opportunity to just shine a light on the work we do at Cascade. At Cascade, we very much encourage students to follow and develop their passions. Thankfully, I was able to do mine. From an early age of 5, I wanted to be a teacher. And for many years, became a teacher. And for many years, I loved teaching in Scotland, and I felt I had freedom to deliver the curriculum in a creative way and meet the needs of the children. However, that changed when I moved to Kuwait and took up a position of teaching the English national curriculum to 32 year one students whose English was their second language.
Mhm.
Although I'd previously been in management positions in the past, I always felt it was important as a teacher to go back into the classroom just to see the change in the philosophy in education firsthand, and also to see challenges teachers faced. On reflection, what happened next had overall a very positive effect in my life. But also there was a negative aspect. I've always been a free spirit and felt at that time that I was being pushed into a box and having to teach in a programmed way rather than a creative way. I wasn't permitted, because of the restrictions put on me, that to bring out the best in children. And so the result was I left mainstream teaching. However, the positive experience was a new door opened for me, and I entered the entrepreneurship world. And I opened British Nursery in Kuwait. And even at that age, even from then, I was excited that I was able to develop the social emotional skills in children, which is, you know, we spoke about affirmations. We can start affirmations at a very, very early age. I then moved to Dubai in 2013, and I opened Cascade Learning Centre. I'm very grateful to KHDA to be given the opportunity that I wasn't just teaching academic skills. I was able to teach in our license. I was able to teach math, English, performing arts and sport, all under the same roof, which was a new concept and which parents gratefully received. So over my career, I've seen many children falling through the cracks, and I'm passionate about providing tools to develop self-esteem from an early age. At Cascade, we help students become aware of how unique and special they are, and emphasize they have got superpowers: love, gratitude, respect, respect, which was spoken about before, honesty, unity, mindfulness, and stress the importance of once we're speaking about that with young children, it's important that they share these skills with others. Also, we provide workshops for parents, as it's important that they know their children are learning, what their children are learning, and that we develop self-worth in everyone, and we share our values. Since opening Cascade in Dubai, I've been fortunate that Leila and Steve became our business partners, and together in 2021, we moved into a villa, rebranded our business, and are now Cascade Education Services. We offer a safe, friendly space which nurtures curiosity and a love of learning. It's lovely to see children running in the door rather than saying, oh, I'm not going there again. It's like a school, but I'm not wanting to go there today. They love coming to Cascade. And we're wanting now to do intergenerational work where older people come into the centre and share their skills with the children, and everyone works together. So presently we offer a morning enrichment programme, which is mainly for homeschoolers or students who have been referred to us by schools as part of the Rahal initiative in Dubai. And in the rebranding, we developed a pod system, which Laurence showed before, with the creativity, the exploration, all the different things under the heading of 21st century life skills. And we're teaching that.
Jacqueline, if I may, I have a question. It's like, So can you please mention what are the techniques that you usually use with 5-year-olds to build their self-esteem? It's just like it's something like it's very hard to find an answer for. So would you please share an example or two?
Yeah, we've got there's a new program called the Love Academy, which was 12 volunteers getting together in Dubai. I was one of them, and it was from an early age, because we found out that a lot of children did not have self-esteem. They had the mindset, I can't do it. And at Cascade, we always say, yes, you can try. So we do the 7 superpowers, the love, the gratitude. We do it from 5 years old right up. We do, there's art projects, we do affirmations. I am respectful, I love myself, I am beautiful. They go to the mirror, and I'll say, when we go to the mirror, I say, what do we say when we look in the mirror? I am beautiful.
So this is mirror work, basically affirmations, and
yes,
and yes,
yeah.
it's like interesting.
Yeah, and it works. You know, I've been in mainstream where we didn't do that, and now we're doing it, and the children at the centre are not judgmental. You know, they care about each other, and that's something that I've noticed. It's really, when other people come into the centre, when parents come into the centre, that's one of the things they notice. So if it's brought in, if we give them the tools at an early age, that we can make a big difference in their lives, which they'll take on to the secondary age school. Then the coaching skills comes in, the life skills come in. And a lot of the children are teaching their parents as well, because there's been a gap there where they have not had that in their schools.
Yeah.
And that's why we have workshops as well at the centre for the parents, because it's important that the children are seeing, the parents are seeing what the children are learning, and we will make a difference. And we do cooking and gardening, life skills, and the kids love it. And also watching them just aspiring to be the best person that they can be, and enthusiastically choosing to develop their passion. It's just, as an educator, it just ignites a spark in me. And now I'm excited about the after school, the hub, and the teen programs offered at Cascade. So I'll now pass you over to Layla, as these are her brainchild. So thank you so much for being given this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So it's a brainchild, but it's a brainchild following on from Jackie's pioneering. So let's just be clear here, okay? So for me, basically, I actually came into the my background is business. So I did a lot of management and business management, interiors. And I started to, about 10 years ago, I came across some articles, and I started seeing a lot of documentaries about trafficking. And it was extremely difficult to see this. I struggled to see how children were being lost and suffering. And I felt that the only way to sort of find a way through this was not through the fear and the dark, but it was to create resourceful communities where the child felt safe within the community, okay? And it was able to learn and grow in encouraging environment. So I developed a deep interest in education at that time, and the need to start from my perspective with preparing children for life with the support and understanding of the community. And the best way I could think to do this was through education. So I was equally blessed to meet Jackie and Steve, who had already started paving the way for this new type of education. We have been tirelessly working to keep improving the model so that we can create, adapt, and foster a reality for children and their families where they can thrive. Our greatest challenges arrived in the form of disconnection or fear of the unknown in the communities, and then the COVID pandemic. As soon as the COVID pandemic came in, we noticed that the children, there was a lot of social anxiety, and particularly in tweens and teenagers. And in the education system, felt like it was mostly outdated and not focused around the best interest of the child, rather fitting the child into the system. Global students need strong life skills that will prepare them for a sustainable and successful life in the changing world. This inspired us to further develop our offering and create an after-school program, which brought these students together. So as I was mentioning before with Laurence, what I noticed, particularly when the job market opened for the tweens, they lacked the confidence to go for the jobs. The employers lacked the confidence for them to apply for the jobs. So what we had to do is we had to create an environment where we would build up their skills, build up their knowledge base, so that they would feel empowered to have their elevator pitch, be able to go for the dreams that they wanted, do a vision board, do goals, you know, all those basic milestones that they need to believe in themselves and what they want to achieve in their life. But one of the biggest things that held them back was the social anxiety, because particularly with teenagers and tweens, the social, it's almost like if they don't connect socially, everything else is completely blocked. So it has to start first with the community element, and then bringing in the small life skills to build up their personal belief in themselves. So we've been doing a lot of work with the tweens. We've actually taken on board about 12 teenagers now as part of a coaching program. So we're teaching them how to be coaches. Including this as part of our after school hub. So what they do is they come in every day, 3 of them each day, and they're learning alongside tutorials how to be coaches, how to gain those life skills, how to build up the self-confidence, but at the same time, teach their passions to children that are younger than them and learn from elders around them. So the staff, maybe the parents around. So they're gaining all these valuable skills in so many different ways. And it's working really well at the moment. And the goal is at the end of the 8 weeks of them coming on board with us as coaches, learning how to be coaches. A few of them will show that they really have a passion for it, and we will take them on board as working with us and start to create opportunities within the marketplace for them. So instead of seeing it as a problem, see it as a challenge and turn it around so it's a success story for them to go out into the marketplace. Yeah, so so we're really excited. I mean, we feel very honored to be able to be part of the movement. We feel there's a lot of change happening in education, and we're extremely excited to be part of that change and helping to create solutions where education is empowering our young generation for what is coming in the future. And equally the same, the job, and we may not be preparing them for a job, but we're giving them the life skills for an ever-changing environment.
Thank you so much, Leila, for your insights. Thank you. It's really nice. I mean, now it makes sense how you have this coaching, how you have your dream and your entrepreneurial background and academic, actually, background.
Yeah.
So it's really nice how you pull them together, all of them. So I wish you all the best. Yeah, and it is an ambitious construction, really. I have someone who had his hands up. It's like Dr. Amal Jamil, you had a question. Would you like to jump in? Dr. Amal Jamil?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening, my dear. Hello.
Thank you for this very wonderful presentation, and thank you actually for this very interesting topic that we are discussing now. Just I have a question that I want to ask her. The life skills, this concept, this very important concept of life skills. How can we develop it, or what's the most appropriate way for developing it with students? Is it more appropriate to let them gain these skills throughout specialized training programs, separate training programs, or should we incorporate these life skills inside our teaching or inside these subjects or the different subject matters we are teaching?
Laurence, your mic is muted, so if you're answering.
I was just going to say I might hand that one over to Jackie and Leila, perhaps.
Okay. Jackie, I might get you to start with the life skills. I'll say a little bit just with regards to what we're noticing with the teenagers and with the students. It is definitely better to have it incorporated into your teaching. When we're teaching, or when we're coaching the teens, and when Jackie is teaching the teenagers or the groups of coaches, if there's not a practical application to what they're learning, we lose them. So if they're learning something and they don't understand why are they learning it and where is this going to take them, it sort of misses the points a little bit, and it's not as powerful. So for example, when we were teaching them, we taught them mindfulness at one stage of understanding the brain. I'm just giving an example of understanding the brain and how does the brain work. And we talked about 3 key elements of the brain, okay? So the first one was the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, okay, and it was the hippocampus. So when we were explaining to the teenagers, we were saying, okay, when you are stressed and let's say you have an exam and you've learned and you've studied, but you go into the test and for some reason you just forget all the information. You don't understand what's happened, you've just completely forgotten the information. What's actually happened is your stress has your 2 amygdalas or 2 security guards, okay? And they protect the brain. And by you forgetting the information, it's what's happened is your brain is protecting you. It said that you're in a high stress mode. So it's trying to block that stress from getting to your prefrontal cortex, which is where it processes the information, which would release the information for you to do the test. And at the same time, it would then store what you really need in the hippocampus. So by explaining to the students just that example of by you being able to relax and breathe and be calm when you're under those high stress situations, which is a life skill, it will better facilitate you to do your exams, and it'll even better facilitate you to be able to even be a good friend because you're able to listen more effectively rather than getting stuck in the fight, flight, freeze mode. So I would say linking it to how it applies in real life is very, very powerful.
And I would just add to that, even at a young age, the math skills. When we're teaching maths, why are we learning these? Why are we learning this? Why do we need to do addition? Why are we doing subtraction? Even one of the students she was going to paint her bedroom, and then she realised why she was learning area, just to find out what the surface area would be of the walls and how much paint she would needed. So it's things, so from an early age, the life skills can be brought into the maths for the cooking, the sewing. It's all, these are life skills. And as Leila said, the practical, practical activities are really good from an early age to develop the life skills into the teaching.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that. While you were talking now about neuroplasticity and the blockages working with young people when they get nervous, and the why factor. Kids are put through school and they're told that they're going to study these subjects, but they're not told why they're important for their lives. Yeah. I introduced a young man, well, he's not young, he's about 40, an English guy, who spent 25 years working with young people around the world, giving them talks. And this man is so energetic and so powerful. He can show thousands of young people just before their exams that they can chill and they can have the self-confidence to do well. And I've just put a link in your chat to YouTube. And this is Action Jackson in action. This is a TED talk by this man. And I'm so impressed by him. I promoted him to the Royal Society of Arts. And last month he was accepted into the Royal Society of Arts as a fellow because of the amazing work he's done with young people around the world. I would advise you and ask people, look at that YouTube channel and just see this man in action explaining the why we need things that we teach in schools. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have we lost Dr. Ghada?
Mm.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to us anyway, and thank you for your questions.
So I think that it didn't open somehow.
Oh, no, you can watch it later. People can download
Yeah.
it and just drag
We
it across
can
the
watch it
deck.
later. But actually, what I have in mind is you shared a few links here, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you for doing that. Can we have them on the Facebook? It's like we're friends on Facebook, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we have this talk of us streaming. So just in case if I lose any by ending the meeting, they don't usually show in the recording. So
Yeah, but they don't
you
need
can
to,
just
it's fine.
still keep them down for the comments.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing this.
Okay.
Okay, so the last comment I would say thank you, Amal Gamil, for your question. The name, I don't know, you have experience in the Middle East, but you know the name is Beautiful Dream or Beautiful Hope. This is the name. So I always, yes, this is my colleague's name, Beautiful. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So let me ask the audience here. Does anybody here have a question? Okay, thank you everybody for attending and thank you for bearing with us. It's been a very long day. And this is the third presentation constructed around the SDGs for us today.
Wow.
So it seems that everybody can see the gaps in education. Everybody is calling for reform, and it's a lovely type of reform. It's like, it's radical, it's impactful, it's promising, it's like not very much fights and not very much like the kind of the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 2000s kind of reforms that people were calling for when you have like very clear clashes with the systems. Could you see? So let's just like keep hoping, whether we include that in the curricular activities we have or afternoon homeschooling activities, that will still be very promising. And thank you very much, Dr. Laurence, for the wonderful podcasts. I enjoyed them a lot. Thank you. I would go and check even more of them. And thank you, Jacqueline and Leila, for joining us today. So
Thank
it's a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's our
and
pleasure too, Dr. Ghada. Thank you.
always a pleasure having you. And let's get to know more of your work whenever you would like to come in and show us anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Okay, thank you. Off you go. تصبحوا على خير.
Thanks.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye. Thank
Yes, thank you.
you.
Bye bye.